Hi, this is Ralph Burns, and I have a really exciting video for you today. This is the first in a series of videos designed to further answer your questions and comments surrounding common issues and challenges you face as a sales manager. So let's get started. In this first video, we'll cover motivating your sales reps to peak performance, entitled, Motivating Isn't What You Think. Today I'll be going through the very first steps you need to take as a top-performing sales manager in order to motivate your salespeople so you can release the absolute best from them every day. The funny thing is that motivating is not doing just one thing. Rather, it's the result of hundreds, if not thousands of decisions that you make on a daily basis. It's a bunch of things done all together. And when they're done precisely right, it'll result in a motivated salesperson who's willing to go through walls for both herself as well as for you. What you need to do is get to know them first and realize how different each one is, and then celebrate those differences. Just because you're motivated in a certain way, and I've got to assume that you probably did it pretty well because you're now the boss, doesn't mean that your salespeople are motivated in the exact same ways that you were. Each salesperson has their own individual triggers, things that make them uniquely different, and those motivations are far different for each one. So how do you harness each individual's different motivations in order to achieve peak performance? Well, unlike what a lot of conventional management gurus say, it's not one single way. In fact, there's no magic bullet. I know that it's a different thing for each person. It's a different motivator and a different trigger for each one. And you have to find out how to get it from them. The good news is that it's relatively easy to get. But here's a big clue, however. Every communication that you have with them as a sales manager, every email, every phone call, every text message, every memo must align your message with an undercurrent of motivation. And that motivation is what they want. Figure out what they want and then weave it into your daily dealings with them. In every communication to them, you must always be speaking in their terms, not in your terms or what you think is important. And that reason is to unleash superior sales results from them. So in essence, you must always be motivating. In everything that you do with them, every interaction with them, remember what it is that drives them. Bottom line is this: you don't really need to get too complicated. All you need to do is just find out what motivates them. So how do you do it? All you need to do is very simple. Simply put, let your salespeople tell you what their triggers are. Then simply gear your interactions to perfectly match those triggers. You know, at Sales Management Mastery, we get this information by asking the 10 questions. And it's not very complicated, but here they are. First off, these are hugely important questions, so pause this video after each one and write them down, and then use them as soon as you can, if not tomorrow. First one, what drives you? This is probably the most important question out of the 10 questions, but it gets to the heart of the matter. What gets them up in the morning? What drives them to peak performance? You won't get the whole answer by just asking them this one, but you will have a good starting point. Number 2, what are the barriers standing in your way of ultimate success? This can uncover a lot of different things. Maybe what their perceived weaknesses are, as well as maybe some operational issues that they really feel are getting in their way of sales performance. Number 3, what are you shooting for in your current position? This gives you an inkling as to where they want to go in their career, probably more on a short-term basis, but it gets you to understand exactly what they're shooting for. Fourth, how do you get paid? If you have a salesperson that's motivated by money, and money is probably the biggest motivator for salespeople, if they don't know how they get paid and exactly how they get paid, then you've got somebody who probably isn't motivated by money. This is a hugely important question to ask them, and it's a question that we get deep into in further lessons and courses within the Sales Management online program, but it's one that you need to ask now. Number 5, where do you see your career heading? This is related to number 3, but this is more of a professional component. Exactly where do they want to go? Do they want to become a sales manager? Do they want to get some other position within the organization, some kind of specialty role? Or do they want to become a salesperson for the rest of their life? If that's the case, then it's good for you to know this, and you need to gear your interactions with them surrounding the answers to this question. Number 6, how do you like to be praised? Do you like it public, private, written, or verbal? 7, what's the most significant recognition that you've ever received, and why was it so memorable? Praisings and recognition are huge motivators and points that you need to start incorporating into your daily routine. But getting this information now will certainly help you in crafting those recognitions as well as your praisings in future lessons and courses. Number 8, what are you best at? This gives you key insights into what they feel their true strengths are as a salesperson. Number 9 and number 10 are actually more for you than for them, but this gives you a good idea as to how you should manage and lead them. Tell me about your best boss, and specifically, tell me how he got the best out of you. These are hugely important questions that you need to find out. Once you get this information from them, then modify your own management style and your leadership style and motivate them accordingly. And number 10, lastly, this is mostly about what not to do from a sales management standpoint. Tell me about your worst boss. If they can tell you about your worst boss, they'll tell you exactly how they don't want to be managed. But there's reasons as to why each one is being asked. Each one has its own motivations behind its wording. And we'll get into how this is actually used in later lessons and courses. The point is that when you get this information, you now have the golden ticket. In Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, Henry finds the golden ticket, and he too gets the key to tour the factory with all its grandeur and happiness that it provides. Feels like anything's possible, and the sky's the limit for his life. With this information, the sky's the limit with you as well. Doesn't matter how you get it. All I know is that you must get it. Whatever you do, though, don't ask them these questions at performance appraisal time. Just ask them casually in the normal flow of business. They'll be far less suspicious that way. We'll get into assessing your salespeople in other courses, but for right now, leave this very separate from your performance appraisal time. And now that you have this information, weave it into your everyday dealings with them. Remember that without this information, you're totally and completely blind. But with it, you have some of the most precious insights into what makes your salespeople tick. Once you know, all you need to do is start using it so that you can unleash the best from them, so that both of you can trigger explosive sales growth together. So thanks for watching. There'll be more cool videos coming soon, so stay tuned.